Hi, and welcome to the Ambient iPad. Let's make some music. Really, it's the ambient bass. We're going to do some ambient bass today, recording into an iPad Pro through a Focusrite Scarlett interface. I've got a hub here that provides power to the iPad as well as jacks to connect the interface to. So I'm using a Rob Allen fretless bass. Link to Rob's site down below. Just a fantastic maker, primarily fretless basses. Just really, really, really good basses. Here's the direct sound. I've got that EQ'd because with the piezo pickup, which is what these basses rely on, very, very bass heavy. Plus there's a preamp built in. So I typically have to either use a high pass filter or really lower the bass a bit because it's overpowering. So I'm actually using Garageband. I did start out on Cubasis, and for some reason I just was not happy. It was a lot of work to get the effects going in the way I wanted, and for some reason in Garageband it was just a lot easier. I do find for when I'm recording audio, Garageband is very straightforward. The only issue is that for some reason, if you're using the amp modeling within Garageband and you're choosing basses, you have very few slots for effects. So I essentially choose a more direct sound. It's really more vocals, kind of straightforward, clean vocals, and then do a little EQing of that or turn some of the parameters down that are focused more for vocals and use effects, whatnot, for the bass. So I've been doing that for a while. I kind of have templates and stuff. So really the workflow for me with GarageBand and recording audio is fairly quick. So we're going to do a version of Brian Eno's 1/1, 1/1, however you want to define it, from his landmark album Music for Airports, essentially first track on the first side of the original LP. And I started playing bass in 1980. I was a guitar player before that and did some keyboards, really piano lessons. Let's be honest. There was no way at that point in time when I was a kid I was going to afford keyboards or synthesizers or anything like that. So after playing guitar and really not getting where I wanted to with that, I switched to bass because a lot of bands, when I was growing up, bass players were hard to find, so that was kind of my in for that. But I was always into progressive music, instrumental music, jazz, a lot of jazz at that time, and still, and electronic ambient music. So Eno's work before that with vocals, Another Green World, then Before and After Science, which was around that time too, made a huge impression on me, and Music for Airports obviously is a stone cold classic. So really, I did start playing that tune on the bass at that time, and have been playing it ever since, on and off. So what I'm going to do today is a rendition of that. I've got a bunch of effects set up. So I'd like to just take you all through the workflow here and the sounds, and then we'll do the piece. So again, I've already played a bit of the direct sound. Now I'm using the EQ here, as you can see. Really, really lowering the bass here, a little bit in the upper mids and the highs as well. So that's, get out of that, and so this is without the EQ, and you'll hear what I'm talking about. A lot of low end and then a lot of brittle high end. Put the EQ back on. All right. The other thing is because it's a bass and it's a fretless and it's tape wound strings, I do find for things that I'm trying to have a definition in the sound, I really kind of have to do some good plucking and a little more towards the bridge than I would normally play, which then is just, then I have to go back and kind of soften the attack a little, and I use the FAC Transient for that. Really, really great app. Let's here's without it. So you can hear that really kind of sharper attack, as sharp as one can get on a fretless bass. Let's turn on transient. So you can see it does, I've already got the settings here, pretty radical as far as trying to get away from as much of the attack as possible, while still maintaining some of it to make the effects, give the effects more definition. All right, so that's that. Then I have the Eventide MicroPitch, which, let's turn that on. I'm really just using this as a kind of chorus doubler. I've talked a little bit about this app in other videos, and it's just really, really solid for that. So let's, so it brings the bass a lot across the sound stage, so to speak. All right, and let's turn that off. And then I'm using crystals, but not in the typical way with that high kind of organy sound, but more low, more emphasizing some movement in the low range. Let's turn that on. Actually, so here we go without it. MicroPitch is off as well. Turn everything back on later. Just want to go through each effect individually. Let's put crystals on, open it up there. So you can kind of hear, it's almost playing the part of a delay. Just add some nice kind of interesting movement, but without that kind of high tinkling, you know, dare I say overused crystals sound. So you can hear some interesting stuff on the tail there. And then finally, keeping it all in the Eventide family, we've got Blackhole for a little bit of reverb. Not really using Blackhole the way most people would use Blackhole. As you can hear here, it's like not this very... So you can hear in the tails, but it's a little pushed to the background via the mix knob. And I don't know if you noticed on a lot of these other ones as well. Well, that because it's a chorus, I've got that at 50, but crystal's the same thing. So one thing I found with effects of any sort with the bass, particularly fretless bass, is it's got to be a mix knob, or it just completely overpowers the fundamental bass sound, ends up adding actually a lot of harmonics in the lower end and often overloading the bass sound, and you just lose a lot of definition. So I've always gone, I mean, when we're working with soft effects on the iPad, it's not an issue because, well, they all have a mix knob. But sometimes it's a little more difficult to find hardware effects, which I use as well, that also have a mix knob. But for me, it's critical with the bass. So let's turn everything on here. So we've got all the effects going. I'll just play a little bit, little jam here for like 2 or 3 seconds, and then a little bit of the Eno piece, and then we'll move on with that. Play that a little slower than usual just so you could kind of get a feel for the way the effects sound with that. So I'm going to pause here and come back, and the piece can be long, it can be short. I'm either going to just do probably a full length, and I'll just edit it down because the full length video will appear. As typical, I usually post a piece on a Thursday, and then the next Tuesday is the walkthrough of that. So there'll be links back and forth between the two. And so let's give this a shot. Brian Eno's 1/1, 1/1 from Music for Airports. So there you go, some Brian Eno on ambient bass, leveraging a whole bunch of Eventide effects, but keeping the mix fairly low so the fundamental fretless bass sound still comes through. We'll be back next time with more regular synths, but I do a lot of ambient and looping with the bass, so we'll certainly bring that back at some time in the future. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your own music.